This man has a long history of providing food for crows. After that, they decided to repay him with a pleasant surprise one day. Crows are widely considered to be among the most intelligent of all bird species. Corvids, more often known as crows, can recognise themselves in mirrors, use tools, and make long-term plans. All of these abilities are much more similar to those found in non-human primates than those found in most other bird species. They may have an abnormally large number of brain cells involved in processing information, which may account for their exceptional intelligence. But in addition to all their other incredible abilities, crows have begun to figure out how to navigate the tricky trading process. Before we start our story, it would mean a lot to us if you subscribe to our channel Amazing Animal Stories and press the bell icon. Let's get started. Stuart Dahlquist is a 59-year-old man who lives in Seattle, USA, and has been interested in birds his whole life. Stuart said in an interview, "I've always thought crows were amazing, ever since I was a kid. Birds of all kinds have been a real focus of my life. I love watching them, listening to their calls, identifying them, and helping them if they need it. I'm not a real birder with high-powered binoculars or anything like that, but birds are a huge part of my enjoyment of life." Because he loves these beautiful flying creatures so much, the kind-hearted man saves and rehabilitates any injured or orphaned birds he comes across in his daily life. But crows are one type of bird that has rarely won his heart. When birds are very young, they become very tame. Stuart said in an interview, "Crows have been my friends a lot since I became an adult. I had one for 10 or 11 years named the Judge after a character in Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. If raccoons hadn't killed him one night, we might still have him." While we had the Judge, we also had a lot of rescue crows, which we set free. One rescue crow came to us when he was still very young, and he became very friendly. We gave him to a wild animal trainer, and from what I understand, that crow is now in movies. Stuart rescues and raises these birds, but he also loves to watch them in the wild. He makes sure his bird feeders are full every day so he can watch the birds in his area come to his garden and talk to each other. Stuart has a very special relationship with a family of 4 crows living in a fir tree outside his house. He first saw the little family 4 years ago when they moved into the Douglas fir tree. Stuart and his family could hear the baby crows in the tree when they called for food from their parents. Stuart loved the sound because he knew it meant more amazing and beautiful birds has been brought into the world. One day though, as he was leaving his house, the man saw something very shocking and worrying. The 2 baby crows were on his driveway, right in the middle of the concrete, right under the fir tree. Stuart was immediately worried. How had they gotten down to the ground? He asked himself this because he knew that they were much too young to be able to fly on their own. But what worried Stuart the most was that the birds couldn't fly, so any cats or other animals that wanted to eat them would find it easy. Stuart knew he couldn't leave the 2 babies on the ground where animals could catch them, so he quickly picked them up, despite their protests, and took them inside his house. Then he found a small shoebox where they could sit while he thought of a way to get them back to their nest and parents. The man then thought to grab a ladder and prop it up against a tree so he could reach the nest and put the baby crows back where they belonged. Stuart said in an interview, "We got them into a tree, and the parents, who were pretty angry with us, actually took it from there, and the little ones lived." Soon after that, Stuart and his family started feeding the 4 birds. They wanted to make sure that the animals always had enough to eat so that they could get big and strong. At first, the crows were hesitant to take the food because they were afraid of humans and what could happen to them if they got too close to them. But over time, the cheeky little birds got more comfortable with Stuart and would even ask to be fed when they were hungry. Stuart said, "Sometimes, when I'm walking, they'll fly with me and land on the wires and branches above as I go. When we come home, they like to land on the fence and wait to be fed. Sometimes, they just go caw-caw at us." It seems obvious. When they want food, he gives them high-quality dry food with very little filler. People seem to think that crows like corn, but they don't. Stuart knew when they wanted to be fed, and he could also tell which crow family members they were by how they looked. Stuart said the adult male is very different from other people. His right leg was hurt at some point and didn't heal properly, so he can only hop one foot. I often wish we could do something about it, but there really isn't anyway. He gets around fine otherwise. The baby crows were much smaller than their parents, and the female crow didn't have a wound, so Stuart knew who was calling him for food every time he saw them. The kind-hearted man continued to feed the birds for the next 4 years, and then they did something truly amazing. For Stuart, the day had begun in the same manner as any other. Before going to the crow family's nest to provide breakfast, he went about his morning routine as usual. Sadly, the female crow had already passed away after being taken captive by a raccoon. One evening, as Stuart went outside to give the animals their breakfast, he came across an odd-looking object lying next to the front entrance. The fact that it was only a small branch from the fir tree became apparent to the man as he focused his attention on the object in question. But what was perched atop it was the thing that truly caught his attention. The pull tab from a soda can located approximately halfway up the slender branch. It was a mystery to Stuart. First, he didn't know where the item came from or who had given it to him. He thought it was a little strange, so he took it home and put it somewhere safe to look more closely later. Then the most incredible thing happened. The next day, Stuart was going to feed the crows again. He opened the front door and watched as the male bird flew down and put another fir tree branch on the driveway for him. Stuart was awed. The branch was exactly like the first one he had found, with the tab from a can of soda. When he pulled through it again, Stuart couldn't believe it. This is not only kind, but it's also creative. It is art. In a social media post, he said, "This blows my mind." This behaviour exhibited by crows demonstrates that not only do they possess powerful emotions, but also a high level of intelligence. It is almost as if they were expressing their gratitude to the man for all the love, care and effort he had put into ensuring their small family's well-being over the past several years. In addition, it demonstrates that these birds have the intelligence necessary to create new things by combining two different things to construct something that some people may even consider a work of art. But this good-natured man will always be considered a member of the family of little crows, regardless of whether the crow family continues to bestow upon him new presents. What a fantastic account of events. Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below about this amazing story. Also, if you enjoyed this story, give it a like and subscribe for more. If you cannot contain your excitement till then, you can visit our channel Amazing Animal Stories at any time to watch many more incredible stories.